friends, it's Carissa. I'm here with you today. My voice is a little crunchy. My allergies are kicking right now, and I'm just coming off a very long weekend of gigging. So I'm a little crusty, but we're here. We can do this. I wanted to share with you my soil test that I got back from the county extension. There's some rather enlightening things on that I wish that I would have known at the beginning of the season, setting up my community garden plot. But unfortunately, my soil test that I sent in got lost for several weeks in the nether regions of the post office, and it took forever to come back to me. Thankfully, the county extension acted very quickly. I got my result back really fast once they actually received my dirt. And I wanted to share with you what's going on there so that we know why the garden was behaving as it was. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Just give me a moment. And here we are. This is obviously from Penn State Extension. I don't know why they didn't just send it to OSU because Ohio State is like right here in my backyard, but whatever. And you'll see right here, field ID says garden. That lets you know if you sent multiple samples in like I did, which one this is from, because different parts of your garden or yard can have very different things going on. And it's important that you do more than one test so that you can elucidate that. Now, here we see they break everything down for you in a very easy to see graph. So you don't have to know the parts per million or milliliters per deciliter of this or that you're supposed to have. They just show you this sliding scale so you can see where you are in your garden. And as you can see here, we got a little problem in the calcium department. We also have a slight overabundance of magnesium. And looking here at soil pH, that basically tells you whether your soil is acidic, neutral, or more alkaline. We see here the soil is a little bit too alkaline. High pH means alkaline, low means you're more acidic. We also see that phosphate and potash, potassium are below optimum. I can tell you already from working with the soil, the nitrogen was below optimum in the soil. What this looks like, putting on my Holmes detective glasses, is that someone was gardening in this plot. This someone likely experienced blossom end rot in their tomatoes. And when they did, they figured the tomatoes need Epsom salt because everybody knows if you go on the internet, you hear that Epsom salt makes your tomatoes healthy and it's good for blossom end rot. And if your tomatoes are not, your leaves aren't green enough, give them Epsom salt. Epsom salt is a magnesium supplement, okay? That person also may have known through Googling it that blossom end rot is caused by calcium deficiency in a tomato plant. A lot of times it's not. It's inconsistent watering, which can happen a lot at a community garden plot because you're not there every day. That can prevent the tomato plant from taking up the calcium that's already in your soil. In this part of Ohio, I've never seen soil that is actually deficient in calcium. The type of bedrock that we're on here is calcium rich. That means the soil is going to have calcium in it. We should never assume here in this part of the world that we need calcium if we don't have a soil test that says, yes, you need to add calcium. So this proverbial gardener we're talking about, the tomato plants struggled, they got blossom end rot. This person probably dumped calcium and Epsom salt or some other kind of magnesium supplement on the soil, maybe every year. It's quite possible they did this every season for multiple seasons. And because calcium and magnesium aren't going anywhere, non-leachable, calcium's non-leachable, minerals tend to stay in the soil. It's not like nitrogen that's highly volatile and will go away. That's going to stay. So over time, this calcium is off the charts. They couldn't even measure where the calcium actually is. They give us a number down here. But essentially, as far as optimum levels, it's way, way, way above optimum. And because the pH is also a little high, that tells me somebody was probably putting calcium into the soil when it didn't need it. And that's why the soil is a little bit too alkaline. So this is how you interpret. They give you this bar graph that even if you don't bother coming down here and seeing that the exact pH of your soil where you tested is 7.6, which is too alkaline, and you're looking here, they break down the saturation of all the minerals. You can look at these numbers if you want them, but if all that sounds off-putting to you or you don't know how to interpret that, just know they're going to give you this bar graph. that's going to tell you very intuitively what you should do. Now, me intuitively, I'm not going to go so far as to do agricultural type interventions to get some of this calcium balance in the soil, because I know if we add organic matter, which is more acidic, and if we're cover cropping and letting that break down in the soil, that will bring in acidity. Eventually, that pH will come back into the optimum range here. And the calcium, the overabundance of calcium in the soil will not impact the plants as much. If it does end up impacting them and they seem like they're not able to take up other nutrients, I can continue with foliar feeding until the organic matter in the soil is built up to a point where I feel like the garden is doing well, our pH has been adjusted, and the plants look healthy. So this is going to be my strategy. I'm just going to quit sharing. Make sure you test your soil before you put stuff on it. Don't think because your plant is acting a certain way and you Googled it and all the other gardeners said, well, I put Epsom salt on there and it fixed the tomato plant. Or, well, I put Tums on my garden and that's why my tomatoes are great. That person has no idea. Correlation is not causation. If you did not test your soil, you don't know what's in your soil. You may have a tried and true method that's working for you, but your plants may be thriving despite your tried and true thing that you keep doing to them rather than because of it. So leaning into that anecdotal, the wisdom of the plants, intuitive connection with the plant, yes, that's important. This worked for my grandfather, and so I should do it too. That's important. But when we also have science at our disposal for a low cost that can really elucidate at a chemical level, at least with this type of test where they're using acid to break it down rather than water, you can get the water style test. If you're farming, that should probably be what you do because that's how the plants get the nutrients. But this test is at least telling us that there's a whole lot of calcium in that soil. Under no circumstances should I be adding calcium or Epsom salt to my community garden plot. The recipe is compost. And if I can get a hold of some clean manure that has not been contaminated with hay that's been sprayed with aminopyrrolid, that's what I need. So that's how you read your soil tests. They make it pretty easy for you. Make sure you get that test done before you do things to your community garden soil. Okay, bye for now.